All right, guys. Well, it appeared there was a technical problem. I was able to deal with it, so please bear with me as I attempt to not restart, but remedy the graphics. So one moment, please. Let's go to Aunt. Come, let us explore how to master sitting meditation in 2025. Together, let us relaxingly recite. Our mind dwells in our central nervous system, and our central nervous system dwells in our physical body of flesh, blood, and bone. The advantage to this is that we could make subtle adjustments to the manner in which we sit, thus enhancing the duration and profundity of our practice of meditation. The Mahasiddhas, or great Buddhist yogis, of India and Tibet organized the sitting instructions in an outline known as the 7-point posture of Varochana. The first point concerns our legs. We could find a so-called Mexican yoga blanket online for about $20. We could fold it in such a manner as to approximate a 24 by 18-inch rectangle. We could remember to wash it weekly, for the work of sitting could be sweaty business. The majority of contemporary contemplative art depicts the Buddha sitting in a full lotus posture. What an excellent example of the effect of patriarchy's toxic elitism upon art. For few can comfortably and sustainably assume that posture or asana for 2 hours daily. The most ancient Buddhist art, however, depicts Gautama the Buddha sitting in what some would describe as merely the quarter lotus posture, wherein one leg lies flat upon the other like a sandwich. It is important, therefore, to remember that it is our hips that are ball joints, whereas our knees are merely hinge joints. Treating our knees as if they were as omnidirectional as our hip joints could lead to needless and unnecessary injury. By experimenting with our hip joints, we could rest our insteps upon the blanket instead of the bony crowns of our ankles, which could be quite painful. After a lifetime of sitting in chairs, the quarter lotus pose could feel like an impossibility. May we therefore remember not to force the posture. Whoops, sorry about that, kids. Having some troubles here. Okay. I think that's a boo-boo. Okay, here we go. Once we have assumed as sustainable a version of this posture as we can, we could surrender to temporary imperfection, allowing time and gravity to work their so-called magic as they return our bodies to a semblance of the flexibility we once enjoyed as children. We may find that by setting a circular meditation cushion or zafu, upon their folded yoga blanket and resting one's tush upon it enhances both the short-term comfort as well as the long-term endurance of our sitting. We could find a zafu online for about $50. The better ones are filled with buckwheat hulls and have a side zipper through which we could add more hulls once the old ones have settled. The second point, let me just hit it real quick. So there's a side zipper, and this is me revealing the side zipper. Okay. The second point concerns our hands, which we explored in great detail in a previous lesson or chapter discussing Bengali crease counting. think I'm going to just reduce the redundancy here. The third point concerns our spine. With each inhalation, we could generate a vertical traction between our tush and the back of our head. As if we were pulling our head out of the warm, dark place we sometimes seem to keep it. During our exhalation, we are wired to subtly relax this traction. The fourth point concerns our shoulder blades or scapula. With each inhalation, the vertical traction of our spine could gently open our shoulder blades in a manner reminiscent of a hungry vulture spreading its wings to protect its meal from greedy competitors. Vultures are often referenced in Buddhist teachings as a reminder of the inevitability of the various forms of impermanence, which, although inconvenient and sometimes frightening, could aid our training in relaxation and release. The fifth point concerns our head. With each inhalation, subtly dropping our chin down towards our breastbone or sternum could be the natural consequence of suddenly pulling the back of our head up while simultaneously opening our shoulder blades. The sixth point concerns our mouth. With each inhalation, our jaws could subtly part, though lips remain sealed. And a subtle smile could start at the corners of our lips, ascend through the apples of our cheeks, and perch upon the crow's feet of our eyes. As the tip of our tongue gingerly touches the roof of our mouth behind our front teeth or incisors. The seventh and final point concerns our gaze. Although some insist there are supernatural benefits to be had from staring at either the sky, the horizon, or even the tip of our nose. Our inhalation's kinesiological momentum of spinal traction, scapular opening, and chin dropping strongly inferred that pointing our face down towards the floor or earth at a place about 1 or 2 meters before us is most natural and sustainable. Some squeeze their eyes tightly closed. Some open wide their eyes as if in surprise. Some hold their eyes at half-mast, while some their eyes gently close. We exercise the courage to experiment and listen to our body's ever-changing needs. Yes, this 7-point posture of Vairochana could feel overwhelming. May we therefore give ourselves permission to have a learning curve. Ancient meditators observed that by pulling one's gut in and up during the inhalation, one's spine, shoulders, and head correct as if automatically, gently and organically guiding us. Doing so, we cannot help but relish the subtle release as our breath leaves through our nostrils. There are some who describe this as our microcosmic orbit. Like the archetype of Gautama, the Buddha sitting in peace, may we too practice mindfulness and meditation. This evening, I would very much like to explore the iconography of the archetype. Let's see, I'm going to tap this button. Having completed our opening lesson, the time has come for us to shift gears. It is Qui-Gon Jinn Tuesday morning. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is the Dzogchen Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I have harnessed my autistic special interests as well as my ADHD hyperfocus to spend about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that I can become your personal nerdy, neurodivergent guide to nirvana. Come, let us meditate like Jedi, after which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. For the remainder of this morning's practice, let us camp out on the latest iteration of very easy meditation practice text, or sadhana, if you're nasty. One moment. Okay. Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks, and I think it would be useful if I actually type that out. So what I'm going to do is hit Control, Enter, go back over here, and put this right here. Let's hit Home and Center. Sturgeon. So let's go over here. Wow. Okay, let's go over here. Thank you very much for your patience. Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks. That suckiness could look like Yang's religious or irreligious patriarchy. The same patriarchy that conditions us to be rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. Much like the archetype of the Buddha's foolish cousin, Devadatta. When we have teachers who reinforce this training, they cannot help but implore us to focus and analyze. The only way to do that is to rely upon discrete neural pathways such as the medial or dorsolateral prefrontal cortices. Once we exhaust or fatigue the front of this brain, we wind up triggering our amygdala, which is the seat of both anxiety and aggression, the opposite of the peace and love that we hope to acquire from meditation. Fortunately, evolution's got our back, because every time we inhale, we are already wired to automatically access the sympathetic nervous system ensconced within the middle third of our spinal cord. This bad boy has evolved to help us to notice in a very special way, to help us to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. Every time we exhale, we are wired to automatically access our parasympathetic nervous system, which has which is divided between the lower third and upper third of that same spinal cord. This bad boy has evolved to help us to physically relax and mentally release to such a degree that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could begin to could fleetingly feel less stressful, less permanent, and less defining, thus calming our amygdala and automatically stimulating our anterior cingulate gyrus, which functions as the hub of our mirror neurons, the seat of empathy, the root of both compassion and love. Now that we have seen the value of cooperating with our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems rather than competing against them, how are we going to do it? Simple. Every time we feel air enter our nostrils, we can silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. Every time we feel air exit our nostrils, we could silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease. Every 12 minutes or so, I intend to check for questions that you could type in concerning either Buddhist philosophy or Buddhist meditation. As we breathe in, we could silently and mentally recite. Let's rephrase this. As we breathe in, we could silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this, as we notice, vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. As we exhale, we could silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease, as we physically relax and mentally release to such a degree that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel less stressful, less permanent, and even less defining. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation or philosophy, do not hesitate to type it in great detail in the chat window, for I check for questions approximately every 12 minutes or so. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's evening meditation class, as well as group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.